as a community and bring this awareness about addiction recovery and depression and anxiety.
To you that your vulnerability is what makes you real.
Vulnerability is the first thing I look for in you and the last thing I'm willing to show you.
This is sponsored by I Am Recovery. It's also put on by Zaba Events and also sponsored by Brown Sugar Media. She is a certified yoga instructor focusing on guided meditation and breathing. She also does a lot of psychoeducation groups, including recovery management and spirituality. I can't say the word.
Spirituality? Spirituality.
That one. And then she also has, since we ended kind of the last one on trauma, she has a great understanding of trauma that she'll share with us. So here she is. Woo!
Good evening. So my time tonight with you is going to be a little more experiential and interactive. So please play along. I want you to sit tall and close your eyes. If you're not comfortable letting them close all the way, at least let them close part way. Focus on bringing your attention to your breath. Breathing in through your nose, down through your throat, into your heart, and into the upper belly. Exhaling up through the chest, the throat, and back out the nose. Again, in through the nose, the throat, the chest, the belly, and back up through the chest, the throat, and back out the nose. One more slow, deep breath. This time becoming aware of any strong sensations in the body. Just noticing them without judgment or comment. Just being aware of what's going on in the body. And as you exhale, let the eyes open. Those of you that know me know that breathing is way more for me than it was for you. And I do want to welcome everybody here tonight. I love that we're coming together as a community to try and understand, to learn some things. I think I've been in this field for a while. I forget that it's important to learn about other things. So I appreciate all of you being here tonight. My name is Tina. I'm a licensed substance use disorder counselor with Maple Mountain Recovery. I'm also a yoga instructor with Bhakti Yoga in Pleasant Grove, and a third job, I manage an outpatient program too. As far back as I can remember, I've been uncomfortable in my own skin, just in my own body. I did everything possible to disconnect not only from my feelings and emotions, but also from any sort of physical sensation. As a teenager, this took me to a place of drinking and abusing anything I could get my hands on at that time. I was continually going from one extreme of numbness to the other end of the spectrum, complete emotional chaos. I had no concept of just being able to sit in my own skin, being able to just be in the moment. At this point, I've been in recovery for about 12 years. About 6 years in, I realized I still had no ability to just be still and to quiet the thoughts in my head. A lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, sleep problems. And at this point is when I started looking into mindfulness and meditation. The more that I started practicing mindfulness and grounding techniques, I noticed the anxiety was less. I was able to sleep better. My chronic pain wasn't all-consuming. And working with a lot of people in recovery, I quickly decided that these were tools that I wanted to start teaching other people. As I'm working with a lot of clients, I think most of us recognize they're coming in with trauma. They're coming in with far more things than just the substance abuse. And so I began a yoga teacher apprenticeship along with my substance abuse training. And you know, I had known that traumatic events affect people emotionally and mentally, but I had no idea the extent of how trauma physically affects the brain and physically affects the body chemistry. When we're talking about trauma, it can be such a wide range of things. It can be a one-time experience. It can be something that's happened over a lifetime. When we talk about emotional, mental, sexual abuse. This can also be somebody that lives with a long-term illness or injury, an accident or a natural disaster, somebody that serves in the military under high-stress situations. This can also just be living in a constantly unstable environment. A lot of our people that are coming in that have been living an addictive lifestyle for years, part of the trauma comes just from being so unstable. There's a few parts of the brain that are specifically affected by trauma, and this can happen, again, one-time events or over time. The hippocampus, this is a part of the brain that distinguishes between past and present memories, and being associated with trauma, the size of the hippocampus can decrease. The amygdala is the part of the brain that helps us process emotions and also our fight or flight response. Trauma can affect this by increasing its activity. And then the prefrontal cortex. This is a part of the brain that is kind of the manager of other parts of the brain. And when there's trauma, it can also decrease in size. The prefrontal cortex also aids in our response flexibility. This allows for that moment of pause when we have an impulse before we act on it. As I started learning more about how the brain's affected by trauma, I started looking at how mindfulness helps to change this or to heal this. Mindfulness practice has been shown to increase the activity in the prefrontal cortex. It increases, this increased activity increases the control over the amygdala. This can also help individuals be less prone to emotional outbursts and helps to focus for longer periods of time. It also brings enhanced awareness to our bodily states and sensations, all of those things that we can try really hard to disconnect from. Many of us work with clients and even others in the field that aren't comfortable sitting in their own skin, that aren't comfortable feeling emotions and being in their thoughts. The more we can learn some mindfulness tools and teach them to others, this can be a significant turning point. I see the difference in my clients when they start to grasp that they can have control over mindfulness, that they can have control over their breathing, and it's a huge turning point. It's really empowering for them. Part of what I like to recognize too is that often we teach these as tools to just get through the moment, and that's amazing, but recognizing that it's about more than that, that learning mindfulness tools is actually healing and changing the brain over time. It's not immediate, but over time. As the brain heals and returns to healthier state, triggers, whether this is for substance abuse or self-harming behaviors, anxiety, depression, they become less often. Anxiety, PTSD responses are reduced, and sleep patterns are restored. One of the things that I found is I go to a lot of conferences, I go to different things, and I learn all this information, but nobody really tells me what to do with it. So tonight we're going to do a little mindfulness meditation. It's about 5 minutes, so give it a try. Sit up tall, close the eyes again. Again, if you're not comfortable closing them all the way, just close them part way. Begin bringing all of the attention back to the breath. In through the nose, down through the throat. Now I want you to visualize an opening right above your belly button or navel. Breathe in through the nose and out through the navel. In through the nose, out through the navel. And now breathe in through the navel and out through the navel. And now visualize an opening right in the center of the chest. Breathe in through the navel and out through the chest. Allow the opening in the navel to close and breathe in through the chest and out through the chest. Now gently rest your hands facing up on your thighs or your knees. Visualize openings in each of the palms. Breathe in through the chest. Allow the air to go up the shoulders, down the arms, and out the openings in the palms. In through the chest, and out through the palms. Allow the opening in the chest to close. Breathe in through the palms and out through the palms. On the next inhale, let the hands slowly raise up off of the knees and turn the palms to face each other. Continuing to focus on the sensation of breathing in through the palms and out through the palms. Now slowly, without letting the hands touch, bring the hands towards each other until you feel a sensation on the inside of the palms. Once you feel that sensation or energy, stop the movement. Let the hands slowly drift apart until you feel a sensation on the back of the hands. And then bring them back together and apart. Staying focused on that sensation between the hands and on the back of the palms. And on your next exhale, go ahead and let the hands rest back on the knees or the thighs, palms facing up. And I want you to just notice the contents of your mind. And breathe in through the palms, allow the air to go up the arms, out the nose, and return to breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And on your next exhale, go ahead and let the eyes gently open. And again, just kind of notice sensations in the body, contents of the mind. You know, when I asked you to stop and notice the contents of the mind, it's likely that most of you, it was pretty still and it was pretty quiet. There wasn't a whole lot going on. That only took us about 5 minutes. Being able to learn some tools that any of you could guide somebody through that, you can guide yourself through this on a regular basis. It's a really simple practice to stop and focus on breath, to focus on sensation. You know, it's suggested that we do something like this every day. Some of the studies have shown that 8 to 11 sessions of another practice that I do called Yoga Nidra. It only takes 8 to 11 sessions. That could be 8 days in a row. That could be once a week for 8 weeks. That prefrontal cortex is starting to heal. It doesn't take much effort to sit there and focus on breath, to focus on sensation. So in summary, you know, mindfulness helps us calm physically, which then helps calm the amygdala. And then the amygdala being calm allows the information to get to the prefrontal cortex. This helps us slow down and make more healthy and positive decisions. Being in recovery and working with people in recovery, whether that's from substances or other mental illnesses, anything that helps us slow down and be in the moment. For me, that's worth giving it 5 minutes a day to do that and to focus on that, knowing the change that can happen in a very short amount of time. Any questions?
Wow.
Thank you. I'll take that.
It's me and Cam always. I'm wondering about the yoga nidra. So you're saying that actually helps heal the prefrontal cortex. And when you say 8 to 12 sessions, it's my understanding yoga nidra is usually an hour long or so. Okay, so you're saying you go through the entire thing.
Yeah, you can do shorter sessions, but usually that 8 to 11 sessions is based on about a 45-minute session.
And is there any studies showing that it's actual?
Yes, I didn't bring them with, but if you'll give me your email, I'll forward them on to you. I did a grant proposal last year for another agency that I work with and collected as much of that information as I could. I'm trying to think which, I can't remember which of the schools did it, but they did a lot of research with MRI machines showing the brain changing along the way. Yeah.
How is that yoga nidra different from a regular yoga practice?
So there's 8 different limbs to yoga, and so one of them is postures, standing around in funny poses. One of them is breathing techniques. Other ones are guided meditation, quiet meditation. And so yoga nidra means sleep, so it's the yoga of sleep. It's literally laying on the floor or sitting in a chair. There's some different induction techniques that are used to get the body relaxed, to get the brain into theta state, and that's where the healing starts to happen with the prefrontal cortex. Oh, in the back.
Do you recommend anywhere to go on the internet or anything to listen to guided meditations like what you just brought us through? I'm just trying to find those, and I like there isn't.
So there's a couple different places. The school that I work through, Bhakti House Yoga, has a couple of downloads. Bhakti is Bhakti. And then on YouTube, there's thousands of different yoga nidra recordings. I use an app called Insight Timer. It's free, and there's like 8,000 guided meditations on there. Yoga nidra specifically goes through different steps that it's going to seem very familiar from one practice to another, or one person leading it to another. So those are the 3 that I would try: Bhakti House, YouTube, and one of the apps like Insight Timer.
So somebody that's never done yoga before, can you just walk in and do it, and it's not going to be like super tough?
So it depends on the type of class. Calling ahead and asking. Most studios, schools will have entry level. The style that I practice and teach is called Amrit Yoga, and that can be beginner walking in and somebody that's practiced for years. It's all about connecting to your body and listening to what your body is telling you. Is too much. So.
And can I add, I know that a lot of studios, I know at least the Mat on Redwood Road in Saratoga Springs, they do yoga nidra every month. So a lot of studios will have workshops of nidra, and yeah, you just you're lucky if you don't fall asleep.
Yeah, I fall asleep half the time. Bhakti House in Pleasant Grove, that we have a community class once a month that's free. You can just go at 7 o'clock on, I think, the 3rd Saturday of the month. Just go and give it a try. And then they have some classes during the week too. So.
That was interesting because it was like, I feel like it kind of brings you back into the physical bit a little bit. My problem with the meditation is what usually you get told they kind of want you to do is just to kind of go with your thoughts and let them flow. And I just get really impatient. I'm all over the place.
Me too.
So I need something to anchor me. And like when you were talking like the hands and moving, you keep bringing the attention back to the physicality of it all. Is there a name for that kind of meditation we just did? Is it different? Or?
So this one specifically is called Chitta Pran. Chitta is the mind stuff, and prana is energy. And that's just that little one that we did. Yoga Nidra is about being guided through different steps, and so I know that's why it worked for me, because somebody was telling me what to think and what to do and not letting my mind wander so much. Anyone else? Okay, thank you guys very much.